Yeah.
But yeah, no, and we're all out there with our insecticides going. Get away from my flowers. Come be on my flowers. Yeah, leave them alone. Yeah, no, we actually, it's one of the things that they're good country.
Isn't close like their phone, like, really close and endangered? Or
Some areas.
something.
I think that they, now that they have a handle on it, they're doing better. Once they actually get it down, it would be something to
I was
look
reading
at.
about it, I saw it when I was looked at it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all of our crops, vegetables and stuff.
And you couldn't do it for like alfalfa.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it. I mean, I can do it in my greenhouse for my tomatoes. That's nothing. I just go around with my little paintbrush. Actually, just shake them. But some of them, I won't do that. Anyway, that is a niche that's important. Okay, symbiosis. We said something that lives with or on something else. We already kind of talked about that one. This is a relationship in which one organism is living on or inside of another organism. Parasite would be a symbiotic relationship. Orchids are considered a parasite, and they're beautiful, aren't they? They are parasitic.
About Mr. Kwan.
Mitochondria that has been incorporated into our cells and has become so important. That's kind of a fun thing, yes?
So the termite too.
This termites, we will talk about termites when we talk about it. What? Oh, that's one I haven't heard of. Cool.
Yeah.
For the algae. Symbiosis, and we're going to talk about it. It can be neutral. It can be beneficial for everybody involved, and it can be harmful. Somebody always has to benefit, or it wouldn't happen. We have two things. We have the host. This is the person. This is the organism being lived on or lived within, and you have the symbiont. Who's living in Star Trek? You always have, the symbiont. What do they call those joined species when they have the one living inside the other one? Oh, you have to be a Trekkie to appreciate that. Okay. All right, commensalism. Commensalism is one of those kind of neutral relationships. You have a symbiont who is benefited. You guys, the symbiont is always benefited. But the host is neither harmed nor benefited. The host could care less. This is commensalism. An easy to think of example is you've got the water buffalo and you've got the white birds that are always seen with the water buffalo. You always see the one, and the birds go around and they pick the ticks off the water buffalo, and you'll see them down as the buffalo goes through the grass. They scare up insects, and the birds eat them. So, and that would be commensalism. The water buffalo could be just fine without the birds. They're just fine. But the birds are benefited by being by the water buffalo. And that's commensalism. Alright? Mutualism is where both the host and the symbiont are benefited. They both come out ahead. And somebody said, they threw up, they said, oh, termites. Termites are a great example of mutualism. It is mutually beneficial. Don't be silly. I'm right here in that way. Okay, so termites. Termites, we hate them because they eat wood. They digest the wood and they live on it. They were looking at it as they're studying termites. They realized that there is a protist. There are single-celled organisms that live in the digestive tract of termites. Let's see what happens if we kill these protists, these single-celled organisms that live in their digestive tract. So they heated them up enough to kill the protists, but not kill the termites. And they gave them what to eat. The termites starved. Because it was these protists living in their digestive tract that actually broke the wood down into the nutrients that the termite needed to live. Now, the protists get wood. They have this termite who goes out and supplies them with wood. They break it down, they get the nutrients, and they share the nutrients with the termites. Everybody wins. Everybody wins, right? That's mutually beneficial. The last one is the one that we probably usually think about when we think of symbiosis, is parasitism. This is a relationship where the symbiont benefits always, or wouldn't be there. He wasn't winning, they would go live somewhere else. And the host is actually harmed.
So this would be like, I mean, parasite.
Yeah, tapeworm.
Organs and stuff, and it's like.
Tapeworms that get in there, hook on, and
They
take
can,
your
and once
nutrients.
they get fed, like, they can go into other organs, and
Oh yeah, flukes.
that's what I'm talking
Flukes,
about.
yeah, those, fish flukes that you eat. There's flukes that's in pork. When we eat pork, you cook your pork.
Yeah, there's some messed up.
There's some leeches, ticks,
Yeah.
ticks in their own.
Mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes. They need your blood, they need blood. They don't really live on you all the time. Usually it's something that comes and lives in you. There was a diet pill a long time ago. You took the pill and then you would lose weight, and what it was it gave you tapeworms. And tapeworms are taking your nutrients. You know what? I'm going to say jolly. I'm just happy. Don't do that to me. The problem with a parasite, a bad parasite can actually harm the host. The host is actually getting weaker. Too much parasite, you kill your host, and then of course you kill your symbiont. Mistletoe is actually a parasite that grows on other trees. I have a question. So, symbiosis is always beneficial no matter what? No. It can be neutral, beneficial, harmful. Oh. The one who is always benefited in a symbiosis is the symbiont, the thing living on the other organism. Does that help? The symbiont is always the host, however. Now, are you host anything? Anything live on you? Oh, let me count the things, right? You have little things that live in your eyelashes. You have things that live on your beds that eat your skin cells. You have wonderful flora and fauna that live in your intestinal tract. Is that a bad thing? No, it's a good thing, isn't it? In fact, exactly, it's the good bacteria. After you take antibiotics because it kills the good and the bad, you go back and you eat some live culture yogurt with the good stuff in it, and it puts everything back in your digestive system, so it's working again. You got bacteria, right? and for people who have upset that balance, even babies nowadays, at a certain point they will give them the right cultures to get them going, because if the good stuff is living there, there isn't room for the bad stuff. You have to be careful. You can't give it too early. You can't anyway. If you're a mother, you'll be researching that. Yes.
So you said that what was the example? Which one was the example you used for termites? Was that the?
That was mutualism.
And what was the one commensalism?
That is your water buffalo, the hippos and the water buffalo.
Oh, okay.
The things that live on top of them. These would have sharks. Right? They have things that live. Yeah, they're kind of cleaner fish. They come and they eat the parasites off them and then go on. And
I have a question. How is it termites for mutualism?
because the organism that the single-celled protists that live in their intestinal tract actually breaks down the wood to an absorbable nutritional level.
Oh.
And so the termite gets the nutrients, and so does the
Okay, so
microorganism.
the termites the host of that.
Yes, the
Oh,
termite.
I was
That's-
thinking that the tree was the host. I was like,
Yeah, oh, okay. Good question, right? All right. Now, in any energy flow, we have to look at who is eating whom. So this is your energy source. We have autotroph. Now, troph or trophic has to do with how they eat. If you are an autotroph, go back to how you your understanding of our word part. Auto means automobile. Self-feeding. Who self-feed? Plants. Plants self-feed. They actually take energy from the sun, a few other things, and they make food. So you have your autotrophs, self-feeders. You have your heterotrophs. Hetero, other eaters. They eat somebody else. So your heterotrophs are organisms that eat another organism. They can either eat plants or other animals. Yeah, I'm a heterotroph. Anybody here an autotroph? Anybody that's for lunch, you go out and you take off your clothes and go out and say, oh, I'm making food. No, I don't want to. We may do it to get the vitamin D, but, you know, saprophytes break down dead material. They are your decayers, your mushrooms. You have a lot of bacteria. What time is it? Okay. Autotrophs, always self-feeders. Now, these organisms obtain their energy from the sun, or they can get it from chemicals. You actually have some organisms that live around like the vents, those hot vents in the ocean, where you have a lot of sulfur and things that come out. They live on those chemicals. They're not photosynthetic. You have lichens that will actually break down the rock that they are living on. Autotrophs do not eat other organisms. Chemicals, they make sunlight, and they make food. These guys are the basis of every food chain. Without plants, imagine what would happen to life on this earth. We wouldn't last very long. Exxon Valdez, I don't know if you're old enough to remember that. They had that huge oil spill up in Alaska. One of the things that they did is to like the beaches and things, they brought in bacteria that actually breaks down the oil. Autotrophs are referred to as primary producers, the first makers of food, primary producers. Most of these get energy from the sun or from chemicals. We have in these plants, plankton and algae. Plankton and algae, both photosynthetic. The only difference is they are in the water instead of on land. Heterotrophs get their energy by eating other living organisms or their products. They are consumers. They consume or eat something else. We have some very specific terms for these. Most of you recognize these. Oh, I already know this. Herbivores. What do herbivores consume? Plants. Yeah. What do carnivores consume? Meat. You can look at the teeth of an animal and tell what it eats, can't you? And the teeth are ripping, tearing, shredding, or grinding. That's what they do. That's how they determine, like, the dinosaurs, what they eat. They look at their teeth. Oh, we know what this one is. Omnivores. What makes an omnivore? They eat both. As humans, we are omnivores. Bears are omnivores. You think of them as being carnivores. They eat berries and mushrooms, and if you look at bear scat, I'm sorry, I look at bear scat and I'm like, oh, what have you been eating? And sometimes it's, oh, you've been eating cellophane. Get out of my garbage. Okay, so saprophytes again are your decomposers. They eat dead things. You have a lot of bacteria there. You also have things like vultures, eagles. Yeah.
Certain types of maggots.
They help break down dead stuff. They help break down poop. Thank goodness, right? If the dead were always with us, we would be neck deep in dead. Or poop, you know. This is biology. We talk about it all. Herbivores, organisms that eat plants. These are our primary consumers. Remember, we started out with our primary producers. Well, our primary consumers eat our primary producers. They eat plants, they eat seeds, they eat berries. Carnivores, heterotrophic organisms that eat other animals. They eat meat. Usually are a secondary or a tertiary consumer. You go back to the Lion King and this beautiful part and this beautiful song about the circle of life. They say, oh, you know, the antelope eats the grass, and the lion eats the grass. The antelope and then the lion died, and he eats the grass. Yeah, they say it. The circle of life, yeah. All right. Omnivores eat both plants and animals. Humans to be healthy. Need some meat, protein. If you are a vegetarian, you know you have to work to get those complete proteins in another way. Saprophytes or saprophytic organisms, these are our decomposers. Again, we've said these many times, haven't we? How many of you are starting to, oh, okay, I understand this. Heterotrophic organisms that eat dead organisms or their waste. Yes. It helps break things down. Yeah, it's a chemical thing instead of, because enzymes aren't alive. It's a chemical breaking down. But we've personified them in that we've given them life. But, your bacteria, your fungi, and you have animals that don't hunt for themselves, they eat from the dead. They are incredibly important in recycling the nutrients. It's important that the lions put the nutrients back into the soil for the grass. There's a lot of things that we have to get back. Phosphorus, carbon, nitrogen, all of those things are important.
This says they can eat their waste, their own waste, or the waste of the
Well, you usually don't eat their own, but you know, like dung beetles, they help break down poop, and that's important. Poop has a lot of bacteria in it.
What about alcohol? A good example. Bacteria breaks down sugar, and they use alcohol.
Yeah.